and the omnibus. So I was forced into the Archers when I was a child. And look, it's come back to bite me later on. I'm awash with this stuff.
The Archers is the world's longest-running radio show, with more than 15,000 episodes broadcast. Despite being a rural flavour show, The Archers is recorded in the heart of...
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a look, a really close look, at something that might seem ordinary on the surface, just conversations from a radio drama.
Right, but hidden inside these everyday chats are some, well, pretty fascinating insights into how we all interact.
Exactly. We're talking about delegation, why sometimes saying yes leads to way more than you bargained for, how good intentions can, completely backfire.
And influence, too. How real influence maybe isn't about being the loudest person in the room.
So we've pulled out these key moments, these little mini dramas from the source material.
Yeah, we're going to unpack them, see what we can learn about communication, about behavior from these, seemingly mundane moments. It's kind of like everyday psychology in action.
Okay, so where should we start? Let's dive into that first scene, the meeting about the fate.
Ah, yes, the fate, where Azra just trying to be helpful, taking notes.
Describe, right. Yeah. That was her role. But Linda, who seems to be in charge, she's really pushing for a big idea.
And she does not like the committee's idea. The teddy bear theme. She calls it, what was it? Sinister.
Sinister and impractical. Even compares it to Hitchcock for teddy bears.
I mean, that's a strong reaction. And it's in that moment, Azra just sort of tentatively suggests maybe something traditional.
And Linda just jumps on it like that's the idea.
Yeah.
Suddenly, Azra's casual comment becomes the new direction.
And not just the direction, but a task. A research task, right? For Azra and for her husband Aram, apparently.
Yeah, she basically says, go find out what people think about tradition for the fate. Just like that.
And then Aram walks in. Poor Aram. He's just finished this emergency plumbing job.
Right, for the little old couple in Penny Hasselt. Water about to leap over their slippers, he says. Sounds pretty stressful.
He probably thought he could finally relax. But no. Straight into fate planning.
And he tries to push back a little, doesn't he? But somehow he ends up with this list.
Oh, the list. It's not small.
No. He's got to book the Holland Silver Band. Okay. Then find and service the Vicar dunking apparatus.
Which, by the way, needs pretty stringent health and safety checks. That just makes you wonder, doesn't it? What happened before?
You have to wonder. And on top of that, convene a subcommittee for sponsorship, donations, ads in the program.
It's a lot. Especially for someone who wasn't even at the meeting initially.
So what's going on there? How does he get saddled with all that?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? You see Azra kind of gently nudging him, helping Linda almost.
Yeah, she says things like, only too pleased to be asked, weren't you?
Exactly. And telling Linda he's so dedicated, your husband, it puts Aram in a really tough spot. How do you say no, then?
Right, it looks bad. Like you're not dedicated or not willing to help the community. That whole pressure of volunteering.
Mm-hmm. It's a perfect example of how sometimes just offering to, lend a hand or making one small suggestion.
It just snowballs. Suddenly you're organizing the whole event, practically.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about delegation, or maybe how not to delegate.
Or how things get delegated to you without you quite realizing it's happening.
Okay, so that's the fate. A bit of a task list trap. Let's shift gears now to something more domestic. Tracy's birthday party.
Ah, the birthday bash blues, yes. So, first hurdle. The house needs tidying, the garden's a jungle. Standard party prep stress.
But then Jazzer reveals he almost invited his boss, Martin Gibson. A narrow squeak, he calls it.
Yeah, he says it was just to be polite, and he only didn't because someone else, Neil, apparently said Martin couldn't make it anyway, so Jazzer used that as cover.
He thought he was safe, but Tracy finds out Martin was even considered.
And she hits the roof, calls it a disaster, calls Jazzer a plonker.
Strong words again. Clearly, the boss attending is Tracy's absolute nightmare scenario. Jazzer's attempt at politeness nearly caused a major social incident.
And then, to make things potentially worse, Jazzer's solution for entertainment.
Oh yeah, his band, Trust.
With brilliant reviews, apparently. Their world premiere gig since reforming.
And the best part? It'll cost nothing or next to nothing, just expenses. He thinks he's offering this amazing gift.
Tracy does not see it that way. Not at all.
No. She calls them a ropey band of no-hopers.
Oh.
Ouch.
And she's furious. This is my party, and I'm not having what I don't want.
She wants something special, and she wants it quick. Total rejection of Jazzer's grand idea.
It's just layer upon layer of social awkwardness, isn't it? The boss invite, the band.
It really shows how easily well-intentioned plans, especially ones you make for someone else without really checking
You
them.
just completely misfire. Creates more stress than celebration. It's about really listening, I suppose. Not just assuming you know best, even with people you're close to.
Especially for something personal like a birthday. So moving from domestic drama to the public house, the Bull.
Right. Where Mick suddenly decides he wants to be the bouncer. Or, provide security.
This comes about because Joy suggested getting advice. And the usual guy, Brett Gregg.
Bouncer Brett, yeah. He's unavailable, can't do consecutive nights, and he's put his prices up. 2 in demand.
So there's an opening. And Nick steps in with this, well, unusual offer.
He offers to do security for free. For no cost.
As a way of saying thank you. Because they let him park his van in the pub car park.
Which is an interesting exchange. Sort of sets up a dynamic where it's not quite a formal job.
Definitely. And Mick has a very specific vision for his role, doesn't he? The uniform.
Oh, the uniform. Navy blue jumper, blue cords, and braid. Gotta have braid on the shoulders.
To make a statement, he says, no messing, antisocials will not be tolerated. He's picturing himself as this, imposing figure.
Very visible, very authoritative. That's his plan.
And then reality hits. Almost immediately. He tries to frisk Jazzer.
A quick pat down, just as Jazzer walks in.
And Jazzer's like, absolutely not. Shuts that down immediately.
Yeah, you can sort of feel Mick's grand vision deflating right there. The braid isn't quite having the intended effect.
So Jazzer gives him some advice, which is actually pretty sensible.
Completely the opposite of Mick's idea, really. Jazzer says, be unobtrusive, wear plain clothes.
Mingle, keep your eyes open, don't draw attention to yourself.
Which clashes directly with Mick's desire for influence through, looking the part.
They go back and forth a bit about looking hard. Like Bouncer Brett, the volcano about to erupt.
But Jazzer steers him towards something more subtle. Eyes and ears open. Just watch. Listen.
Unobtrusively. Which is probably much more effective in a local pub setting, right?
Absolutely. It highlights that gap between, the idea of authority or security and what actually works in practice. Sometimes being invisible is more powerful.
Adapting to the situation, not just imposing your idea of how it should be.
Exactly. It's less about the braid and more about just being observant.
Okay, one last little detail we pick out. It's small, but kind of intriguing. About George.
Ah, yes. Emma mentions George saw the prison chaplain yesterday.
And the immediate reaction is, why? Maybe he wants to confess something.
Which is interesting because apparently George is not one for all that touchy stuff, but then there's this added detail.
He was like that as a kid. It's just a tiny glimpse, isn't it?
It really is. And then Ed apparently reckons George also wanted to be a burglar when he was younger.
Chaplain? Burglar. It adds these little contradictory layers to someone we barely know.
And it leaves you with that question they pose right at the end, wondering what he'll be like when he gets out.
It's amazing how just 1 or 2 lines can spark so many questions about someone's past, their character, what might happen next.
Shows how even throwaway comments can hint at much bigger, untold stories. We all have those hidden depths, I suppose.
So pulling it all together after that deep dive, it's quite a rich picture from just a few conversations.
It really is. We've seen how communication can get tangled up, how easily misunderstandings happen when we assume things.
Yeah, and that whole dynamic of delegation, how saying yes can lead you down unexpected paths, the pressure involved.
And the difference between how we intend things to work out in a group or a community and what actually happens. Plus that interesting angle on influence and security. Sometimes quiet observation beats making a loud statement.
It really makes you think.
So, maybe a final thought for you listening. Think about your own interactions. How often do our assumptions about what someone else wants or how things should be done actually end up causing more problems?
Right. What if we paused and, really listened to what's not being said, or just asked one more empathetic question?
How might that change the dynamic? It's worth considering.
Definitely. Keep an eye out for these kinds of dynamics in your own life. They're everywhere once you start looking. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.
So, what are you doing now?
Just getting ready for the next episode. Just
And,
moving mics around.
So, what do you do?
I do the spot effects on the arches. Any
Are you what we
movements
call Foley then?
Kind of. Yep.
Okay. And these are all part of the paraphernalia of production.
Yep. That's the bull bar. That's,
This one.
yep. That's.
Hayley so wanted to be in their own place when their baby came. It's due in 2 months. Not much chance of that now. No. I mean, it would have been a stretch for them financially, mind, but I just wish there was something practical I could do to help them, Caroline.
I think The Archers has had this immense popularity over the years, basically because it has always very accurately reflected the reality of life and living in a rural community at whatever